Hey, what's up everyone? In this video, I'm gonna be talking about my GH5 Cinema Rig that I use for handheld B-roll. And I recently used this setup for a client shoot for a nonprofit that they were having a fundraiser. And so it was a golf tournament, so we were outside. And I just wanna talk about why this was the perfect setup for me getting handheld B-roll. And as always, if you're new to this channel, my name is Caleb and I've been doing freelance video production since 2012. But this channel is to help you make your own videos, whether you just started or you've been making them for a while, whether you use the GH5 or any other camera. If that's something you're interested in, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So you're probably asking, like, where the heck is he? Well, I'm in the garage today because I've been working on building some skateboard ramps for my boys. And so I thought I'd just stay out here and make a video while I was outside and just show you my handheld B-roll setup that I used recently on a shoot. So this shoot was for a nonprofit that provides affordable daycare for families so that they don't have to worry about that daycare expense. They can focus on working and getting that paycheck and putting that paycheck towards other things like, food and shelter. And so it provides an opportunity for these families with scholarships to have daycare so that they can focus on their jobs. So I was honored to be a part of this project, and this fundraiser was actually a golf tournament at one of the local resorts here. And so I knew I was gonna be out on the golf course, I was gonna be running around, and I didn't wanna have a huge setup. So I stripped down my cinema rig a little bit, and this provides an opportunity to shoot some awesome handheld B-roll because it's combined with the GH5, which has awesome stability. And it was also an all-day event, so I didn't want batteries dying on any gimbal or anything like that. So I knew I wanted to do everything handheld. And up on the screen, I'm just gonna put a few shots that I got of some of the golfing. Now, if you shoot handheld B-roll with the GH5, comment some of your favorite aspects of your rig if you have one together. If you don't use a rig, that's awesome too. What kind of lenses are you using? What are some of the other things that you use to get some awesome handheld B-roll? I'd love to get a conversation started about that. So I'm just gonna walk you through my handheld setup and why I use some of the things I use and why I like it. Now, one of the aspects I did shoot a few interviews while I was there. So up on the screen, you saw some of that setup. But the majority of the day was out on the golf course and, during the closing ceremonies and things like that, it was all handheld. So the very first piece of it is obviously the GH5. So with that, a lot of what I shot at HD 120 FPS. Because with this, I wanted slow motion, people swinging the golf club and the ball rolling, to the hole, that type of stuff. I wanted to shoot at 120 FPS. But then also with handheld B-roll, you want to have awesome image stabilization, and the GH5 with that micro four thirds sensor is probably the best IBIS on the market. Now with this setup, I also did have a microphone, and I used the Rode Video Micro. And this was for when I wasn't shooting in variable frame rates so that I could get some scratch audio. I did not use it as any main audio, but I wanted a microphone on here just to get some audio of some background sounds of people talking or even people swinging the golf clubs. Just some background noise that a lot of times you want those elements in the video to help kind of bring the whole video to life. And I like this microphone because it's not powered, so I didn't have to worry about having a battery or having to recharge it. So to attach all these accessories, I use the GH5 cage by Small Rig. And I love the Small Rig cages. I mean, they're so well built, and I mean, there's just threads all over the place on here, so you can attach really whatever you want. Now for ease of carrying, I put the top handle on, so that way, if I was in the golf cart, I could kind of just hold the camera like this, and I knew it wasn't gonna fly out. But also to get some of those smooth motions like this or to the side, I have that top handle that I can hold onto, and it really provides, like another point of contact. So usually I have one on the lens and I have one on the top handle. Now, if I need like a stable shot that looks like it's on a tripod, but I'm not really on a tripod, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just rest this handle, just rest it on my chest and kind of shoot like this. So it provides another anchor point on my chest to where I can have that stable shot locked off like I'm on a tripod. All right, for the monitor, I'm using the 7-inch small HD. Now, one of the things I did run into is it was kind of a cloudy day to start, but then the sun did start coming out. And so I had a little bit of a hard time seeing the screen once the sun started coming out. And so having some kind of like screen guard on here, even with the bright screen, sometimes it's a little difficult to see. All right, and then powering the monitor, I have these RAV Power Sony style batteries. And I like these because they're not the huge ones, so it doesn't add a ton of weight, but these last a long time, especially with 2 of them on there. So I had all day coverage with this monitor. And then holding up the monitor, I've got this small rig monitor mount, and I actually attach it to the front of the cage. And so I can raise the screen up and down like that depending on where I have the camera. So if I have the camera way down by my feet, you know, I basically put this monitor flat like that so I can see. Then if I have the camera closer to my chest or a little bit higher, you know, I can adjust the screen to where it's really easy to see. And then obviously the HDMI connecting it to the GH5. So my lens of choice for handheld B-roll is the Sigma 18-35. So if I'm starving for light, like on some of the indoor shots that I needed, I can really open up this lens with the Metabone speed booster right on there. I can really open it up. There were a few times where I would have liked a little bit more reach on my lens, so having a little bit longer focal length probably would have come in handy. And then on the end of the lens, I have a variable ND, which is a must-have if you are shooting outdoor B-roll. You don't want to be at like f22 or whatever the Sigma goes up to. I never go up there, so I don't know what it is. Usually shooting outdoor B-roll, you're good with like, you know, f5 or f6, somewhere in that range, and then you can take care of the rest with the variable ND to make sure that your image is exposed properly. Now, one of the things that I've noticed with the Sigma and the Metabones connected to the GH5 is sometimes it can get a little wobbly on there, and when you're like, you know, adjusting focus and that type of thing, you don't want the image wobbling around. And so I actually have a bracket right on here that attaches the Metabones to the cage, and so that takes care of any of that wobble, and you're not getting any wobble whether you're handheld or you're throwing focus on a tripod or anything like that. And then I also have a Manfrotto tripod plate on here, video tripod, so that I can just toss this on a tripod if I need it, like you saw for that interview setup. So I can just toss this right on a tripod and it's ready to go if I need to be locked off like that. And then for media storage, I like these Sony cards. These Sony cards come in a high bit rate. You're able to record that 10-bit 422 if you need it, you know, all that information that you need to get on the card, it will be able to read that just fine. So for this setup, here's a couple things that I would change if I had the opportunity. First would be I would probably use like Atomos Ninja 5, so I can just take all the recording right into there and not have to worry about the media storage on the SD card. And another thing I would change, I would probably have the option to have a longer focal reach as well, so I can really like zoom in on some of those golf balls that were being hit and, you know, rolling into the hole, those types of things. I'd probably go with a little bit longer reach on a lens as well. But overall, this setup worked great for me. I used it all day long. I was just changing the battery on the GH5, but other than that, batteries lasted. The Sigma 18-35 is such a great lens for B-roll. It's not stabilized, but with the image stabilization in the GH5, you're really set to go. So if you have any questions about handheld B-roll, make sure you comment those below. I really do appreciate you watching, and if you want to see more videos about filmmaking with the GH5, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Sorry this one was in my garage. I know it was a little bit messy, but I'm gonna get back to making some skateboard ramps, and I will catch you in the next video.